G'day! Today we're going to have a look at Behold Battle and hopefully some tips and tricks on how to beat the harder difficulty in this one and get all the achievements. I do have all the achievements in this one. I do love mage and monsters, and any excuse to be back in that same world and style of play, I welcome it. So Behold Battle, I actually enjoyed a lot more than I was expecting to. I thought I was just going to play it just to sort of work my way through it, but I found it very addictive and really enjoyable, and how fast you can sort of go and just sort of not really have to do much in the way of movement. So, let's jump into a new game. When it comes to the achievements in this game, there's an achievement to beat the game on combat, or combat plus spells, winner versus random, random versus random. There's no difficulty requirement on that. You can beat all four of those things on just normal, which means that when you get to the higher difficulties, you can choose what combination of these two things you want. Spells are a bit of an X factor, so I'm going to go combat. Winner versus random means that you have a team that you know can win, and it's a bit, I think, easier to sort of like win some easy rounds because you get a good team, and then that good team can just sort of go on for a while. Now, when it comes to the size, possibly the smallest is the easiest, but I found that it's just more fun to watch a gigantic map, and if you're going to be playing like a few times over to try and get this win, why don't we go big? So you can see I do have a perfect 2020 over here. The highest gold achievement is 5,000, but that one, like, especially if once you've got your sort of skills down to this bottom lot, you can rack up way more gold than that. I sort of like took it easy because I didn't want to lose money once I'd hit my my requirement. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into an insane game. Impossible would only give us the one life, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer and get some extra lives so that even if I make some mistakes, we can sort of still look at those later rounds. So what we're looking at here is going to be probably the most standard thing that we're going to see for at least the first 10 rounds is going to be one type of enemy versus another type of enemy, both melee. And what we want to do is we want to compare the stats of both and then try and work out who is going to win logically. Now, there are some guys that are a bit more of an X factor than others. Hypnofish is probably one of them. I would rate Hypnofish in the top 5 most dangerous guys in this, probably because of the amount of damage that they do. The guys that do high damage have a lot more impact in this game. So you can see that they're doing twice as much damage as the Glutmons, then have 2/3 of the health. So we're going to say that the Hypnofish doing twice as much damage while not having less than half as much health, and there's more of them, should walk this in. Alright, one other thing that this game does, and it wouldn't surprise me if this gets corrected at some point, but the Dwarven constructs are grossly overvalued. Every time you're going up against Dwarven constructs, they're going to have way too few guys for the effectiveness that they actually have. So, not even a competition. If there was the same amount of them, those constructs could possibly be a threat, but with so few of them, they're just getting walked over. Alright, so this is where we come into range guys. Now, if you have two different guys on the same side, so a melee guy and a range guy, then you're going to see range guys become a real dominant force in this. But for the time being, while there's no one standing in front of them, it's going to be a real hard job for them to win this. So those 53 Cyclops are doing 45 damage on a guy that has 200 health. So they're going to have to hit each of those Hypnofish 5 times to kill them. Generally, they're going to target the same thing that's going to be the closest guy. So the first few Hypnofish are going to get destroyed, but once those Hypnofish can get through to those Cyclops that they can one-hit kill, they're just going to destroy them. So we'll see a few guys go at the front, but as soon as they get to them, this is all over. Alright, so now we're looking at Berserkers. Now, the Berserkers, you can see, have very few numbers here. So they're rating these guys pretty high. These guys do have 2 abilities that they've got a 30% chance to lifesteal. Sorry, a 30% lifesteal, so they're going to take... so it's not a 30% chance, it's that they're going to be taking life every time, about 30%, so it's going to be about 20 health they're going to gain back each time. And then a spin every 4th attack, damaging all nearby enemies. And they have a fair bit of health. So this could actually be very close, even though there's so many more Hypnofish, and we really like Hypnofish. So which way do we swing with this one? There is definitely a point where the Berserkers would easily win this. Let's try and break down the damage. So they're both sort of doing a similar level of damage, 60 versus 80. But there's more than twice as many Hypnofish, so we're saying they're doing 160 damage. There's more than twice as many, so we're saying they've got 400 health. So 400 health and 160 damage. Logically, the Hypnofish should be walking this in. Logically. Here we go. Game of logic. Alright, so now we are looking at Hypnofish versus Ogres. There are, we'll say just for even easier sort of splits, let's say there's twice as many Ogres. So there's twice as many Ogres are doing half as much damage. Well, no, when there's twice as many of them, they're doing 80 damage. So it's even damage, but they have twice as much health, but they have a slow attack speed. Now that slow attack speed could possibly be the factor here. Because if the Hypnofish are attacking faster, they could make quick work of those Ogres. I don't rate the Ogres that much, so this will be pretty close. But I think I'm going to bet on my Hypnofish. I think. I just don't think the Ogres are going to get enough second hits in. I think that the Hypnofish are going to... Oh, it looks like I could be wrong here. Alright, let's jump into a new one. Alright, Jellyfish versus Yetis. So Yetis are a weird X factor here because they have very slow attack speed. So they're going to get their first hit out pretty quick, but they're then going to be obviously very slow to get a second shot in. There's twice as much Jellyfish, so they're doing 80 damage with 800 health. Whereas these guys are doing 150, so they're still doing twice as much damage with more than half the health. Yetis are the weirdest one I find in this game, that sometimes you'll bet against Yetis and they just absolutely dominate. Other times you bet for them and they get absolutely destroyed, and it doesn't seem to be overly clear which way they're going to fall in any particular battle. This one is a victory. Umber Hulks, I don't rate at all unless we're starting to deal with ranged guys supporting them. If you've got Umber Hulks lining up in front of guys that are going to just do damage behind them, they've got a good chance. But doing 20 damage, it doesn't matter if you've got 750 health, you're just not going to make an impact. If we compare these here, we've got the Yetis with 500 health doing 150 damage. So 150 damage into 750 health is that they're going to take 5 shots to kill an Umber Hulk. An Umber Hulk is going to have to take 25 shots to kill a Yeti. So I think even with the numbers difference, the Yetis should just work their way through these Umber Hulks pretty easily. Monarchs. Now we're dealing with a guy that's got fast attack speed versus very slow attack speed. Monarchs have more health, there's more of them, they're doing half as much damage. I think that the damage isn't going to play as a factor here. I think this is one of those points where the Yetis go from dominant to getting beaten. Okay, so Cyclops is, as we said before, there's no one supporting them in front of them, but there are more of them than the Monarchs. They are only doing 45 damage. Monarch's going to have to take 2 hits to kill him. Cyclops would need to take more than 10 shots to kill a Monarch. So I'd say that the Monarchs are going to get to him without too many losses. And once they do, they're going to just sort of work them through. With every Cyclops that dies, it becomes harder for the remaining ones to kill everyone that's left. Walk it in. Okay. So we've now got Minotaurs that have less health than the Monarchs, doing less damage, slower. The Monarchs have 50% more damage than the Minotaurs, and there's about 50% more Minotaurs. They have more than 50% more health. I think so. I think the fast attack speed is going to be the X factor here. And we'll still say the Monarchs are going to win this one. There are certain points where it doesn't look like you picked it right, but sometimes it can be deceiving because you're fighting against someone who has a very clear dead body. Ifrits I find really hard to pick. They have a fast attack speed, so they're attacking faster than the Cyclops do. In this particular case, there's even more of them than there were the Cyclops. They do more damage and they have more health. So for any Monarch, he's going to have to take 2 hits to kill an Ifrit. Ifrits are going to have to take... what's that? 13 shots to kill a Monarch. Both are going with fast attack speed. So how many Monarchs could the Ifrits kill before they get to them? We've got 2 hearts, so we're going to go for it. I won't try and burn one of my rerolls yet. I'm going to say the Ifrits. I think the Ifrits are going to just get them. I think this south lot of the Ifrits might... I think I've picked it wrong. It was reasonably close though, 7 guys. Definitely won't say I did a bad job with that one. Okay, so dragons are going to be an X factor in this. It's always hard to judge based on the amount of guys that they're always going to be up against. There is cleave damage in play here. 15% is going to be like, what, 20 damage or so. Probably not too big of a factor. The Frost Breath could have some impact. So there is less than 10 Monarchs per dragon here. So times 10 for the Monarchs are going to be doing 750 damage with 6,500 health. That 750 damage seems like a lot, but I think the Elder Dragons in this case is going to get them. I think because the Elder Dragons bunch up like they do, it means that you can't get like sort of enough Monarchs all the way around them quick enough to have an impact. So those top dragons sort of can clear out a lot of guys. But we may have picked this wrong anyway. I mean, that's pretty close again. I'll fight that one. Alright, so now we get to see another one of my favorite guys in this, the Archangels. Archangels have the massive X factor of their regeneration of health every 2 seconds. The Were-Rats will be doing faster damage than that, but health is health. And there are more of the the Archangels as well, so we should see them really work their way through, and we might be with these Archangels for a while. We haven't seen my 2 favorite guys yet, so we've got 2... Well, Archangel's probably my second favorite. We've got another guy there, above them and below them. It's to round up my top 3 favorite guys to play as in this that we haven't yet seen. Okay, that's more Were-Rats than we last faced. This is one thing that is sort of worth trying to do too, is remember how many of a thing you played, because you can say, well, they were no match for, what was it, 47, 51 Were-Rats, but now we're going to give them another 10 Were-Rats. But I think the Archangels did a big enough win, that last one, that the change won't affect it. If we see 80 Were-Rats, I mean, I don't know, it's still a lot of Archangels that lived through that. Brutes I don't rate. They're similar to the Umber Hulks. They're doing nowhere near enough damage. They're doing half as much damage as the Archangels are going to be healing. It's twice as many of them, but who cares? They're not doing enough damage. There could be endless armies of them, and possibly we'd see barely any Archangels die. Because even the Archangels that are taking damage are getting the chance to heal back up and absolutely annihilate them. Could add another 80 guys to those, and I don't think we'd see an impact. Alright, so now we have Hypnofish. Now, Hypnofish, obviously, we are already fans of. There's twice as many of them, so we're looking at 160 damage per attack with their 200 health. So they've got less health than the Archangels, but there are so many of them. I think they're actually going to cut them down. I think it's just a pure numbers game at this stage. $173 Knights, doing less than half as much damage with 50% more health. There's 50 more of them, so it's not more than, like, it's not enough. There's 173 of them, but they should get easily eaten by these Hypnofish. And I say eaten because the Hypnofish using their mouth to attack. Okay. And I said that I had my 3 favorite guys, and here's one of them. So my 3rd favorite guy to play as in this is the Wendigos. And the X factor that they have is that very in front of fast attack speed. So these guys attack very fast. They have slightly more health than the Hypnofish. They're doing less damage, but they're doing it very fast versus these guys medium. So these guys should be able to work through them pretty quick. Pyromancers, that's a lot of Pyromancers. It means that each Wendigo is going to have to kill at least one. The Pyromancers are only doing 16 damage, but when they crack their Fireball skill, that's going to be 100 guys all doing 16 damage that can pass through everyone. So this could actually be a lot closer than it seems. The question is, how fast can the Wendigos cover the ground? Pyromancers actually become very effective when there's someone standing in front of them. They can be a real threat. Alright, so now we're starting to look at teams of more than one type of thing. So we've got jellyfish and we've got were-rats. The were-rats could be a threat to the Wendigos, but even if there was, replace those 55 jellyfish with more were-rats, that would only be 110 were-rats versus 143 Wendigos. I think the Wendigos still have this one. I don't think the jellyfish are going to be much of a factor. It's going to be the rats. But again, these guys are doing so much damage, our Wendigos, that we should hopefully see them bring this one to victory, though it is looking very close at the moment. My boys have it. Okay. So, this one's tricky. 231 ogres versus 143 Wendigos. We're going to say that is 50% more. So, if you add 50%, so for every 2 Wendigos, there is 1 ogre. Sorry, there's 3 ogres. So that means ogres, say, have 600 health doing 120 damage, while the Wendigos have about 600 health and are doing 120 damage. So they're pretty close on. The ogres still have their slow attack speed, and there is an X factor of an Elder Dragon. The order that things appear on this page is also important. The fact the Elder Dragon is first, then the ogres, means that this guy's going to be out in front and the ogre's going to be behind him. The faster we can kill the Elder Dragon, the better. And I think the Wendigos have got this. As long as they can kill that dragon. The longer that dragon lives, the more advantage he gets. Incredibly close. At least I've got a second heart to lose that one too. Okay, 12 forest dragons and 4 berserkers. The forest dragons are doing enough damage that each shot will kill an ogre. That one's really close as well. I don't even want to play that, I don't think, especially with 1 health. I'm almost tempted to do a reroll because I don't want to do a dragon versus dragon. I don't think the berserkers make up enough. I think the ogres would just overwhelm them. So those guys would just get wiped out. I don't know. Cleave damage as well. How many times would an ogre have to hit a forest dragon to kill it? So 10 times would be 400. 100 times would be 4,000. So they'd be dead before 100 hits. These guys would have to make 231 hits. 400 hits would be less than that, but these guys could surround them. Very fast attack speed. So they hit faster than the Elder Dragon. I mean, I kind of want to see this fight. I don't want to see this fight, though, so I'm going to go to Forest Dragons. If those Berserkers can get in there and just be left to roll for a while, they also could make a big impact here. Yeah, those 12 dragons are going to be a menace. Okay, now what we're starting to look at is a really nice structured team there. Now, one problem, like I said before, is that the Cyclops are above the Minotaurs, which means the Cyclops are going to spawn before the Minotaurs. So the Cyclops have to let the Minotaurs get through their ranks to help them out. I think that the guys on the left are going to win because the Minotaurs are going to live long enough for the Cyclops to do some proper damage to the Forest Dragons. As long as the Minotaurs can get through and keep those Cyclops alive. Which you can see that they are doing there. And in fact, they're going so slowly through the lines that the cleave damage became ineffective against them. Well, this is a real close matchup. So we've got the Ifrits and the Umber Hulks, which I did say this is the best use of an Umber Hulk. Again, everyone's around the wrong way. The Ifrits are in front of the Umber Hulks. The Ifrits are doing more damage and their attack speed is faster. So I think that even though the Umber Hulks are probably going to be better than the Minotaurs as well, I think that the Ifrits are just going to absolutely wipe these guys out. And you can see how fast that front line is pushing towards the Minotaurs. Okay, Yetis and Archangels. problem for them is that they're going to have to kill Umberhawks, which is 750 health. So even an Archangel would have to hit one 10 times. So I think those Ifrits are going to just make quick work of those Angels. And then hopefully can work through these Yetis. It's a bit hit and miss at the moment though. There we go, now we're looking better. Okay, so now we've got 150 guys on the left. Dwarven Constructs, not a threat. The Arcane Golems are going to do a lot of damage, but they don't have that much health. And that's the factor here. The other thing is that they're going to get stuck behind the Glutmons. So the Glutmons are going to be what's out in front when the Ifrits are at threat. And then when the Umberhawks finally come through, we should hopefully see those guys get destroyed. Hopefully. Hear them shattering there. So a lot of winning this is possibly just being lucky enough to get a really good team. Now, I said before that I had my favorite guy and we hadn't seen them yet. Well, we're finally seeing them here, and it is those Frost Giants. I think the Frost Giants are by far the most dominant thing in here in any one-on-one battle against anything. However, these Ifrits have got Umberhawks defending them. So this could actually be very close, because those Rat Kings are going to be hard to kill. The Frost Giants are going to come in and do a lot of damage, and they're going to cause everyone to freeze. So not just the Umberhawks, the Ifrits will also freeze when they're hitting Frost Giants, but they don't have that much health. Really the health of those 42 Rat Kings that are going to be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to roll away from those guys. Instead, what we're going to look at is 200 guys. Not as much health. The Rat Kings are still there. The Goblin Mechs sort of get in each other's way, so they're not all in the front line attacking. So basically we just need the Umberhawks to live long enough that the Wendigos get killed by the Ifrits, then get rid of these guys. So I'm going to show faith in our Ifrits to do the job here. You can see how much real estate those mechs are taking up. That once they sort of become the targets, they're just not hit. There's not enough of them hitting the front line at any one time that the Ifrits can really work them down. Now we've got 3 lives, so we're in a bit more of a comfortable spot. Okay, so we're looking at now 250 guys that we're up against with our 130. We've got the luxury of 3 hearts, so we can make a mistake here, because if we're playing Impossible, we wouldn't want to. So what we're looking at here is going to be... We saw how those Goblin Mechs did, and I don't actually think they did that badly. They were pretty close, but what these guys don't have is Wendigos, which I think actually had a big factor in that last one. So we're going to bet against them again, just because I think the first 2 rows of guys that we're going to fight here aren't going to be effective, and it's going to be the Goblin Mechs that are actually going to be the threat. But because no one else is helping them, and you can see how that front line is pushing further and further away, that the Ifrits are actually having to start to move forward, that I think we should walk in that one. Also the way that the melee guys will continue to fight the closest melee guy. Okay. So the fact that the 3 Elder Dragons are going to be first means that the Ifrits have a good chance of really taking them on and possibly killing them. But then they have the advantage of Cyclops also lining up behind them, and then 105 Monarchs. So the Cyclops are actually going to be as hard to get to as the Ifrits are. The Monarchs are way better than the Umberhawks, and the Elder Dragons are just an X factor. I think we've got to say thank you to the Ifrits. It's real close, but I think that these guys are going to get it. I think those dragons are just going to... You can see that those dragons are getting absolutely slaughtered in there, but it's more that the Umberhawks, I think, are going to get beaten by the... Actually, the dragon's still alive. The dragon was one of the dragons, lived a long time there. And the fact that now we have a team that has both dragons and ranged in it, that can be a real threat. There's no ranged on that left-hand side. Not enough Frost Giants. We are looking at 350 50-ish guys on the left versus our 140. But it's primarily jellyfish. If the Elder Dragons can survive the Frost Giants, the Reapers I would almost put as one of the lowest things. They're not doing enough damage to warrant a threat, and they don't have that much health, so they can just be cut through. The fact that the dragons are all still alive here, no one's getting to the Cyclops for a very long time. If there's a dragon, that middle dragon has never been hit. Okay. Now, this is a new type of powerful that we can see with Pyromancers. The fact that the Pyromancers have their Fireball makes them a really interesting impact, because there's now 200 guys in front of 110 Pyromancers. All of those guys are going to have a Fireball that is attacking someone in the front line, but once it goes through that person in the front line, it's going to hit people behind that. And there's only 34 Cyclops with only 80 health, so only 5? Can't be right. 5 Fireballs have to hit any one Cyclops, and it's going to kill them. The Reapers aren't great for what they're going to be standing behind, and all those Pyromancers have got to be summoned first. So those Elder Dragons could actually get to a fair few of those Pyromancers and make quick work of them. The Yetis are going to be harder to kill, but then there's 105 Monarchs also coming. So what I'm going to say for this one is we're going to burn another reroll. Now this time we've got our Pyromancers at the back, and we've got more of them. I'm going to bet on the Pyromancers, because they're safe. Just watch these fireballs go, and everyone, look at the health of those guys in the back row. They're just getting annihilated. All the Cyclops is gone. $104 Ifrits. 5 Dwarven Constructs, waste of spot. 75 Berserkers. Do I think 75 Berserkers could beat the Jellyfish? I do. Do I think the Ifrits are going to kill them fast enough that it's going to be a problem? I do. I've got one reroll left. I'm definitely going to use it. Okay, what we've got on the left now is no ranged, which means the Pyromancers can just sort of freely work without anyone ranged trying to get in there and make an impact. And that's what we're going to bet on. The Frost Giants don't have a lot of health, so they're not looking too great here, really. Oh, wow, they really turned that around. There we go, so not too bad. Insane difficulty with a 19 out of 20 win. It would have been nice to get a 20 out of 20, but we're pretty close. So hopefully that gives some tips. Frost Giants, if a Frost Giant is an even battle with anyone, they're your best pick. Archangel's after them, Wendigo's after them, but once you start to get to the point where you've got range guys, 100% you want lots of range guys behind someone that is really good. Even Ifrits by themselves can they get a win. So, good luck. If you can just get in the habit of playing this one, I reckon it gets really fun. Any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later. See ya.